Hello, everybody. Wake up, please. I know it's hot and we are tired. It's been a long day. And so I'll try to keep it very, very short and simple. I'm going to talk about our experience working with project-based learning and how we have managed to link it to the industry in Herning, where I come from. That's who I am. If you want to know later, you can ask me. And EU Herning is part of Aarhus University. Aarhus University is the second biggest university in Denmark. And we became part of this university in 2006. So now we are part of a huge, humongous university. But EU Herning has always been working very close to the industry, simply because we are located in the middle of nowhere, as you can see on the red area in the map. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. And it's a very, very industrial area. So, of course, for any higher educational institution to survive there, it has to work closely with the industry. I represent a study program that is called International Communication and Multimedia. And it's not the traditional study programs you hear about in this forum. Normally, you hear about engineering study programs. This is a more humanistic study program. It's a Bachelor of Arts to start with. It's not a Bachelor of Science. And it provides the students with the skills and knowledge in communication, multimedia, culture, and marketing. And that's a general idea as to how the study program looks like. It's a traditionally academic study program, and that in Denmark means that we are not allowed to have compulsory periods of internship. But we go around and we offer it as an elective. The students on the fourth semester have three different options. They can choose to do an internship, whether in Denmark or abroad. We encourage our students a lot to go abroad. They can decide to study abroad in any of our partner institutions or pretty much anywhere in the world, or they can stay with us and follow a specialization course in entrepreneurship for those who want to start their own business afterwards. That was the only way we could include that type of experience in our study program, but that wasn't enough. Our students, our study program started in 2001. And when it started, it was a traditional study program where the students would have lessons in communication, period. Media production, period. Marketing, period. And there was no relation and no link between any of these courses. They were isolated units, as we still see a lot in a lot of humanistic and arts universities. In 2005, we decided to shift the study program from these traditionally isolated courses to a more project-based learning without being purist in the PBL system. We also changed the language of instruction from Danish to English. We have always been called international communication, and it was taught in Danish. It didn't really make a lot of sense. And of course, we also wanted to attract more international students. We wanted more students in our study program. Very simple. It's all about money. The reason why we decided to change is because by law, we have to have focus groups with our students' employers. Those who hire our students after graduation, we have to meet with them every 2 years to get feedback, see what we need to improve, what we need to change, and also, of course, with the academic bodies. And on the focus groups, the first time we held focus groups was in 2004. And what we got back was that, yeah, our students had all the knowledge and all the skills, but they had no idea onto how the hell to use it. So it was a wake-up call for us to say, okay, well, how do we bring this to reality? How can we force these students or show these students that what they are learning actually is relevant? It's not just theories that look very nice on paper, but that they can apply it in real-world situations. We also worked, of course, in increasing the academic level, and update constantly the contents of the study program, so our students can also continue in master programs if that's what they want to do. And we also invite them to do that. The advantages that we experienced by changing these was that the students were able to see all these intangible links between the theory and the praxis. How do we use this knowledge and apply it into a real situation? The industry could see that the learning curve when hiring newly graduated students was reduced dramatically. They didn't need to spend money and time training the students how to apply that knowledge in reality. The students were already prepared to do that. They already knew how to do that. That was shown in the results of the focus groups that we held in 2006, 2008, and 2010. And finally, and probably that was the side effect that was more positive from the academic perspective, was that the teachers were forced to work together. They were not isolated units anymore. They were not kings in their own tiny kingdoms, but they had to work together and share that big kingdom. Group work was also strengthened dramatically. The disadvantages of this change, having a project as the center of your study program, can be very positive, but it can also be a daunting experience. We couldn't use part-time teachers all that much because they are not part of the project. So to explain and to get them into this thinking about other courses and other teachers is time-consuming, becomes as expensive as hiring full-time teachers. Some students are very bad at working in groups, period. Some students do not have the ability, no matter how many tools we give them and how many tests we provide them with, they simply can't do it. So they drop out of the SOI program because it's part of the SOI program. They have to learn how to work in groups. And the learning curve for the teaching staff became more complex. As I say, for me, running the SOI program is a huge advantage that they have to work together, but for some of the teachers, it's a huge problem saying, well, I am a media teacher. Why do I have to understand what my communication colleague or my marketing colleague is doing? So it had a negative impact. As I said, the students, ICM students, are all encouraged to go abroad on their 4th semester. The main goal is for the students to acquire soft skills, more than the hard skills that they acquire, well, if we call our skills hard, that they acquire with us. We need them to acquire more skills in terms of cultural and academic awareness. How does the world really works? It's not only Hanning, and it's not only my small unit, it's how do things work in the world, because nowadays, it's very seldom that you're going to get a job where you do not have to deal with people from other countries. That, unless you work in the local supermarket, and even there, you're going to have to deal with immigrants, and you're going to have to deal with people from other countries, so you need to be more aware of these cultural differences. About 40% of our students, and we have an intake of 100 students per year, choose to do an internship. That's their choice. We don't help them. That's something we stopped doing in 2005. In 2005, we decided that if a student wanted to do an internship, they were on their own. They had to find their internship, they had to apply for it, and once they got the contract with the company, the contact, and the company had agreed on taking them as interns, then we would step in to help them with the paperwork. But the process of finding an internship that was relevant for them lies entirely in their hands. And that's changed completely the perception the students have about internship. Before that, we helped them, and we held their hand, and we gave them a lot of different options, and we tried to do everything to ease the process, and we ended up with the students that took an internship, well, because it's there, and it's served. But it's really not what I want. So the problems were too much, so we decided to lay it on their lap. 75 of our students doing internship do it outside Denmark, which is a very, very high percentage. And, but 90% of the students who choose to do an internship in Denmark, they get a job with the companies they have done an internship with. Normally, they start with student jobs, and then they continue on a more permanent basis after they have graduated. Moving on to working with the industry and what we do beyond the internship model. As I said, we needed to have a close tradition of working with the industry. There was no way out being located where we are. And the Institute has a lot of different models that go from traditional one-semester internship abroad to mentor programs. Our engineering programs have mentor programs where the students have to go to a company 3 days a week. That didn't work for us because we are an academic study program, so we cannot just send the students to a company for 3 days a week. No way. So we decided to use a project-based model where the students get a project every semester. On the first year, first and second semester, we give them a project that we work together, the teaching team works together with a company, and everybody gets the exact same project. But from the third semester onwards, that's there, from the third semester onwards, the students have to find their own internship, their own project companies. They have to knock doors around. And it can be local companies, or it can be regional companies, or it can be international companies. When we have students that come from abroad, sometimes they like to work with companies from their own countries, so we allow them to do that. We contact the companies and we verify that everything is as it should be. The companies, of course, need to comply with minimum requirements. They need to have an international presence or a clear plan of establishing an international presence. This is simply international communication. And they need to have online presence or improve their online presence for the multimedia part. Those are the two basic requirements. And then, of course, there are more detailed requirements based on what each semester is happening in the study program. The disadvantages that we have noticed with this model is that sometimes the industry has unrealistic expectations. Sometimes a group of students, our students have to work in groups always, 3 or 4 students, and sometimes a group of students comes knocking at the door, especially when we work with the small companies, and the company says, yes, we want you. We want your services, we'll hire you as a student project, and we need a website, and we need a communication strategy, and we need the sky and the moon and everything. And well, sometimes the students are not able to deliver. So of course it can be, and sometimes for the students it's very hard to say, no, we can't do that. That's where we stand in, or we say, no, they can't do that. Our students can do this, this, and this. Some students are not serious enough sometimes. They do have to work close with the company. They have to contact the company regularly. If they don't do that, then the company simply disregards the project. They don't take it seriously enough. The risk of that happening is, of course, a bad reputation for our study program. And some students sometimes have problems finding relevant companies, especially when you have groups of only foreigners. We try to tell the students do not form groups where there is not at least one Danish student, but sometimes they don't want to work with the Danish, or the other way around, most likely. Some companies are not willing to commit to any kind of cost. Some companies expect the students to go to their offices, which might be 200 kilometers away in Copenhagen or 85 in Aarhus, and they expect the students to pay for that. So that's something, again, we step in as the institution and say, you have to cover these costs at least. And then, of course, the diversity of the project companies can become extremely troublesome for the teaching staff when we are planning our semester and the contents of our courses. But there are a lot of advantages. The first one is that the students get access to the local industrial community in a very, very controlled educational environment. They do not leave ever the institution, except when they are visiting the company. They still have regular lessons, they still have regular lectures, regular exams, but they have to work with the company. They have to bring that theoretical knowledge and apply it into a completely practical situation where there is a customer expecting to get something out of it. The teachers are forced to keep themselves updated on the needs and the interests of the industry. If we don't train our students and educate our students to provide services for the industry, then we are out of a job. The study program becomes very versatile. We change all the time. We update all the time, without losing our academic values. We still have, the theories remain the same. How do we apply them in new situations? The students can develop a working portfolio while they are still students. They don't have to wait until they graduate, or they don't have to wait until they do an internship if they choose to do that. They already have at least 4 projects, 4 interdisciplinary projects by the time they graduate under their wings. And some students get work offers from the companies they have done projects for. Some students get hired immediately upon graduation if they have performed as the company needs. These are some examples of companies our students work with regularly. We have big companies, as you can see, as Vestas, Siemens, B&O, of course, in Denmark. And then we have smaller companies. It's not only huge corporations. It's also smaller companies, local companies, international associations that benefit from working with our students. Thank you. I hope I didn't bore you too much.